been looking for. See the sun is shining through the cloudy sky. It's gonna be the perfect day to troll the shore. There's a gleam of sunlight in my eyes with a stream over my way. Got to hold that light, it's a brand new day. Got to hold that light, it's a brand new day.
Oh, he's nice. He's big. Good thing I got my net. Where's my net? I'm not going to try to whip him. Now, the idea here is to make sure that you keep pressure on the fish, because I'm just using a jig. I'm going to let him work himself out just a little bit. I don't want to give him any slack, or he'll throw that jig right out of his mouth. This is Dixon Lake, by the way. Notice that I've got to change the clothing. That's for good reason. We've been on this the second time we've been up here. First time you saw us on at Seagull Lake, and at Seagull County there's just a lot of lakes that are great fishing lakes. And this particular one is really clear. And this is a nice smallmouth. There we go. Just caught them on a little jig. You can see they're not hooked very much. You don't need to get them hooked very much, but you need to keep that tension on there. You'll lose them. Dixon Lake smallmouth. Now, this is one of the lakes too that they plant walleye in. And we've been on the lake maybe, I don't know, 10-15 minutes. And in my traversing from the boat launch up to the northern part of the lake here, I noticed a lot of marks, a lot of walleye. Nice fish. We're going to put him back. This is a male. And he was up there protecting some of those nests. Now, what's interesting too, let me cover that a little bit with you, is every lake has a different personality. And I'm going to talk about this. Let me get up here so I don't crash into anything. This lake is no different. And you've got to combine the personality with the type of fishing and the way you're going to fish. And what I mean by that is this lake has very little weeds in it. So consequently, and it's a very clear lake. So characteristically, there's very few rock in here, a lot of sand and a lot of wood. And the wood is probably collected from trees that have fallen in, because there's no leaf structure to these. They're just the trunks and the wood part. So you've got a clear lake that is scattered, and I'm out of breath because that fish just made me feel so good. But there's a lot of wood, little chunks of wood that lay in here, and they're scattered. They're not bunched up per se. Now when that wood lays in a very clear lake like this, you get some of that moss and some of the other growth around that. That's where these particular fish are going to conjugate, because they got no other place to conjugate. It's not like we got a rock bottom and we got some boulders and we got some clumps. We don't have that in this lake, at least what I'm seeing so far. If you did, that'd be the first place I'd go. Now, recognizing that when you get on a lake that you've never been on before, because we've never been on this lake, you need to look at that particular scenario and gauge what you're going to use and where you're going to fish around what you see. So that's why I've come up here and I've started picking on some of these areas, not weedy, just the logs like I talked about in the wood, because there's nothing else. So those fish are going to gravitate to that area. Another thing to keep in mind there, when you're fishing a lake you never fished before.